Ladies and gentlemen, Elite Heat is back, and this is a show I'm very much looking forward to. I know a few listeners have told me they're very much looking forward to. This is Elite Heat's take on Undisputed First Take, a sort of debate sort of show. We got a run sheet worth of questions to go through, some big relevant topics. But first, Kevin, how you doing, pal?
I'm good. How are you, pal?
Great. I'm great. The JTE channel's back. We're making content. People are loving it. It's WrestleMania season. Vince McMahon's back running the ship, apparently. So
Vinnie Mac,
there you
pal.
go.
All right. So, what do you want to like? What do you want to start this off with? I don't want to waste any more time. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting to record this. I want to get right to it. Where do you want to start, pal?
Pal, I want to get your brutally honest thoughts. After what happened on Raw, there was a big outcry from the wrestling community, specifically on Twitter, but just generally the internet wrestling community, about one Vince McMahon. And Kevin, following the Endeavor sale and everything going on with that, WWE, UFC under the same umbrella, I want your honest opinion. What will be the effect, if any, of Vince McMahon being back in creative?
Well, we saw the effect. We saw it on Raw. People were saying this was the worst Raw After Mania in years. I can't remember like the last time we had a great Raw After Mania. Maybe like whatever 2013, 14, doesn't really matter. But it's been a while since we had a great one. But to say that this was one of the worst, because we've had like some bad Monday Night Raws. What was it, 2017, the Raw After Mania, where the only highlight was Roman Reigns getting booed for like 3 minutes straight till he went to commercial.
Yeah.
The only highlight that I remember, at least. I'm sure somebody out there remembers some great match that took place between Dolph Ziggler and Bryan Danielson, pal. But yeah, so not a lot is going to change. Or it's in terms of what we saw prior to the Triple H era. Like, if Vince isn't creative, like, it's going to be what it was. It's going to be Baron Corbin with dog food. You know, we're going to have King Corbin doing 3 segments a show. We barely seen Baron Corbin since Triple H has been in charge. But with Vince back, he's going to be like a front runner for the most TV time.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to see cheesy characters. We're going to see bad one-liners and childish promos. And like we saw already, like the show getting changed on air. Like how frustrating would that be for the people that are working, for the crew? Where like you got this whole show planned out. Presumably Nick Khan and Paul Levesque planned the show out weeks in advance. And, you know, it's not a stressful environment. Like Triple H is not running around with his reading glasses on, screaming at people, changing scripts. Like that's a Vince McMahonism. So it's a calm environment. People are like, all right, the Triple H era is kicking. We just had a great WrestleMania. Interest is at an all-time high in WrestleMania. Yep. And then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins is in the ring. And they cut the commercial. And he's getting fed instructions on what to do for his segment in the ring. Like, what is going on? There's supposed to be, like, triple threat matches, apparently, that got scrapped. Like, number 1 contenders, women's matches. And just, you name it. So, I mean, it pretty much... For me, if Vince McMahon is back fully in charge of creative, I don't see a reason why to watch WWE. Do you? Like, why would you watch Raw and SmackDown at that point?
Yeah. Is it my turn?
I don't know.
Okay, well, look, I'll address your first point. As far as the Raws After Mania, I saw this on Cage Match. Was like one of the worst shows ever as far as star ratings, which I think is just a gross overreaction. That was not one of the worst shows. I get it. The show, like, and I know I watched most of this show back as far as the clips. Was there a bit of a Vince feel to it? I don't know. Sure, that some matches, some things are a bit like, I don't know. And yes, Kevin, I saw that clip of Seth Rollins getting fed lines and what to do during commercial, and he was like, WTF, what? Like he's standing there in the ring. I saw the clip of the production members seeing they're doing their job with the cameras, and then someone runs over with another run sheet in the middle of the show. I saw that. That's kind of comical. But nonetheless, back to the initial point. Was this one of the worst Raws after WrestleMania ever? I mean, we haven't had a good one since 2014. Let's keep it all the way real here. You look at these Raws after Mania, the ones I can think of off the top of my head, Kevin, the Raw after WrestleMania 2021, I remember, I forget exactly, I can remember one thing that happened, but I remember we were yelling about that, saying it's one of the worst shows ever. From memory, Retribution beat up Drew McIntyre. if I had to remember what happened. That was an absolutely terrible show. I think The Miz was in his underwear falling over on the stage. I think that was that episode. So stuff like that. 2022, I don't even remember last year. 2020 was literally like the Big Show nearly winning the WWE title. They like showed a rerun. It was in the COVID era. 2019 was Seth Rollins having a match with Kofi Kingston, I think. I don't even remember some other years. 2015, Michael Cole got assaulted by Brock Lesnar. I don't know. Point being, the only good Raw after Mania I can remember, the last one was 2014, when it was like the Shield and Evolution had a face off, and they did some other fun stuff on that show. So, point being here, Raws after Mania usually aren't good to begin with. Let's just be real here. This year's one wasn't great. The main event part of it was why the rating was so good. They got 2.2 something million viewers. Best number they've had in a while, Kevin, which is good to see from that perspective. And look, I'll say this. I can't watch Raw to begin with. 3 hours is too much for me. It's too much for a lot of people. I don't know about you. I'll throw to you in a moment on this and get your thoughts. But to me, I don't care what happens an hour and 15 minutes into Raw. I'm not personally that invested. If heaven forbid Vince McMahon is booking random squash garbage an hour and 10 minutes in with Elias squashing someone, okay, it's not the best, but I'm not really watching it anyway. So from a selfish point of view, whatever. Really, Kevin, to me, the big deal with this Vince McMahon thing is SmackDown, because SmackDown is the watchable show. To me, it's the most engaging show. It's the most interesting show. You got Gunther on there with the IC title. That's basically Roman's show, even though he holds both titles. Raw's an afterthought for him. He said that in promos. So really, what happens to SmackDown, I'm interested to see. Raw is whatever. I don't watch it. I don't care. Seth Rollins will have a promo on there. Baron Corbin might get more TV time now. Brock Lesnar, who's showed up on nearly every Raw this year and every pay-per-view, which that doesn't get mentioned. Brock has been full-time this year. It's actually cool to see. Yeah, Raw is whatever, Kevin. I'm not fussed about Vince McMahon and creative for that. What I am very concerned about is if Vince McMahon starts grabbing control of that pen and taking over SmackDown, getting Paul Levesque's run sheet. Oh, damn it, pal. No. Oh, we're going to redo that. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kevin Dunn, come here, pal. We're going to change at the 10-minute mark. We're going to go to commercial before the Roman Reigns segment. Oh, yeah. Then we're going to have Jey Uso. Oh, yeah. Paul, Heyman, come over here. Yeah, pal. Yeah, this is so good. Oh, this is so good. Oh, it's so good, Vince. Oh, yeah. Like, when it becomes like that for SmackDown, then I have issues.
That was incredible. Raw. That was an incredible Vince McMahon impression.
Was it?
Yeah, that was great. Wow.
Yeah, thank you, pal. I've got a croaky morning voice, so it works for like old Vince, where he's like, oh, pal. Oh, Endeavor for $9 billion.
Yeah, hush money, pal.
No, so there's that. But yeah, my whole stance on it is Triple H's shows. I didn't watch Raw, period. Raw's Raw. I can't watch it. SmackDown is what matters. If SmackDown goes to hell and it becomes unwatchable, then I have real issues. But for right now, watch this space. So yeah, over to you, pal. It's your turn.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few incentive as it is to sit back and watch like a 2-hour show on Friday night, 3-hour show on Monday night. Like, what is the incentive with Vince now being in charge? Like this, when you could literally watch the whole show on YouTube. You could watch the entire show on YouTube and like catch all the clips or watch the highlights on Twitter. I think like at the height of the Triple H era, I mean, it's kind of weird to say the height. It was only like 8 months, but it feels like people like myself, like I would tune in if I was like home and didn't have anything to do on a Monday night. I'd tune in and watch like 2 hours of Raw, see what's going on. And I hadn't done that. I couldn't tell you the last time I was doing that, aside from in the middle of the pandemic. Just like you knew what was going to happen every week. It was so predictable, and that's really the number one thing for me. I know you touched on like what Vince is going to do to SmackDown, but it's like the predictability of the Vince McMahon shows. Like SmackDown without Roman Reigns, it's gonna be what Gunther's going to come out, cut a nice promo. Drew McIntyre's going to come out, say I don't like you. We chop each other. And that's it. You know, like we beat each other up in LA, we beat each other up in this city, and now we're gonna beat each other up in Detroit in front of these fans. That's what we're looking at now. That kind of cheesy stuff, but
yeah, I think as well, because from a content creator point of view, I think Vince McMahon running the show is terrible.
Yes.
And that's because there's so much unpredictability to the sense that nothing matters anymore. When there's no consistency, at least Kevin with the Triple H shows, it's consistent. I could tell you who's being pushed, who's being booked well consistently. I, as a creator, can then make content about those wrestlers. Gunther, for instance, you know, when Triple H was booking Theory, I could more make content off of what he was doing with Theory as opposed to whatever Vince was doing, where it was like, oh, I'm your, your chosen one, Austin Theory, blah, and then he was just losing. It was a mess. With this, it's easy to make content when Triple H is running the show from a content creator's point of view. Because Kevin, oh my God, remember a year ago when it was Brock versus Roman, nothing else mattered. And then Charlotte was facing Ronda Powell, the biggest match of the century. And literally everything else was Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville running around. And it was Baron Corbin punching Drew McIntyre for 6 months. And it was, Madcap Moss blowing out his knee. Like, I remember that. Like, that was a bad time. And now there's the compelling main event storyline. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully Roman sitting on his ass at home for 3 weeks at a time doesn't ruin that, but we'll get to that. And yeah. So any more thoughts on VKM, Pal, or can we move on?
Yeah, well, we're gonna be talking about VKM still, but the next question I have for you is, Pal, can I get your ruthless, savage, most brutally honest thoughts on WWE being sold to Endeavor and being merged together with UFC?
My initial reaction is I like it. I like that kind of thought of WWE and UFC. They're just under the same general umbrella, and for it to be Endeavor, this big parent company doing it, cool. I'm not personally, I'm not on the stock exchange fighting the battle for WWE. I'm not in the boardroom with the suits. So I guess for us as fans at the moment, until Vince McMahon takes full control of everything we see on TV, it's not really concerning for myself, at least at the moment. But my general thoughts, I like the move. I think of all people and all companies to buy them, I'm not going to act like some people on Twitter. I didn't know, I hadn't heard of Endeavor prior to this. Maybe you have. I personally hadn't. But did a little research into it, seeing this whole umbrella structure with WWE and UFC under the same bracket. WWE worth was $9 billion.
Yep.
I think they got for it, which really just WWE being sold to the highest bidder sort of thing. And turns out that, UFC are owned by the same parent company. So I thought, the move makes sense. It's an easy one to sell to investors. It's an easy one to sell to the shareholders. We're under the same bracket as UFC. We're under the same parent company. We're, sports entertainment. We're combat sports. It's this big umbrella. It makes sense. So personally, I didn't mind it. I liked it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about it either. I think it is odd that, just to think that WWE and UFC are going to be one thing now. Because there's always a lot of parallels. And UFC and Dana White and some of the top stars in MMA, like Conor McGregor, have admitted to stealing some of WWE's shtick. That's really that's the goal. Boxing hasn't been cool in over 30, 40 years. But, so Dana White was looking for influence from the WWF at the time when he first got the UFC in 2001. He was like, how do I get what they have? And how do I combine a sense of storytelling and maybe a little bit of fiction? Like we've seen it from time to time, and that's when the Ultimate Fighter came along and so having and so forth. But with that being said, I don't really see how this is going to change anything really for WWE. A couple of things might change. They may work out a deal where Peacock, instead of having the $5 or $10 subscription for United States customers, it'll be similar to what the deal the UFC has with ESPN Plus, where you have to subscribe to Peacock and then you pay whatever $50-$60 for a WWE pay-per-view. I don't plan on paying $50 or $60 for a WWE pay-per-view. I don't know about you, about the listeners, but we've been spoiled now for the network and Peacock for 10 years. It's going to be kind of hard if that's what they do. But I can see that happening. Some behind the scenes stuff will happen. Like executives might get switched around. Endeavor will bring in like their HR people, their PR people. But aside from that, like in terms of like the on-screen performance, I don't think Endeavor is going to be interfering in that. Now, if it was somebody like, say, NBC Universal that purchased WWE, then I would be worried about the state of the on-screen product. You know, that's when like we'd see like the return of the Muppets, and you know when NBC was had a heavy influence in the build up to WrestleMania 37. That was when we saw like Shane McMahon doing cheesy segments, reading off Braun Strowman's report card. Like, if it was NBC Universal or Disney, I'd be worried about the on-screen product. But with Endeavor, I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Kevin, follow-up question for you. You touch on the potential change with the model for pay-per-views and premium live events and potentially having to pay. This question, I guess, can just be answered, one way. But I'll just ask anyway. For a WrestleMania, so this is WWE's showpiece event. We're forgetting all the random shows in like the middle of May. Who gives a stuff about Backlash or whatever? For WrestleMania, WWE's creme de la creme big show, how much would you pay for a WrestleMania? Obviously, let's say the card it's a good WrestleMania card. We're not saying it's like blow away fantastic, but it's not, it's not WrestleMania 36 type thing. It's a really, solid WrestleMania card. How much would you pay for WrestleMania?
I'll be honest with you, as of this moment, and I say this with this in mind, you and I, we're not getting paid for this. We do this for passion. So if we were in a position where we're getting paid to give our opinion, yeah, I would spend whatever dollar amount I need to spend, if it makes business sense. But for me, for my personal enjoyment, I wouldn't spend $1 on even WrestleMania. And it's not because of the principle, no, I don't want to give them my money. It's because of their philosophy and the way they book WrestleManias nowadays. It's just like, okay, the tickets go on sale in November, and it's 6 months out, 5 months out before the show. The WrestleMania is already sold out, so WWE can literally put on whatever card they want. It's not like when you're building a UFC pay-per-view where it's like, all right, 3 months before the pay-per-view, they announce who's going to be fighting, and they announce like who's going to challenge who for the championship. It's not like, you're not seeing these guys every single week in the UFC. So it's special and it gets hype. That's kind of been dead and gone for a long time from WWE. WrestleMania has been, since like 07, 08? It is when they switched that model where they just kind of put whatever card out, and WrestleMania became the seller, So
yeah.
WrestleMania is the brand. So I'm not going to pay whatever, 60, 70, 80 bucks for a pay-per-view where, like, we could end up with Braun Strowman versus Goldberg in the main event or something like that,
Yeah.
Or we could get, like, a Roman Reigns versus Triple H match that nobody wanted to see.
For real. No, for me, I've used Watch Wrestling or whichever variation of that website for, like, the longest time. So, in other words,
Pal, don't out them, pal.
Cal, I mean, so many people watch shows on that. I'm not the first. And
the algorithm's coming for us.
Pal, no. WrestleMania, I actually... So, I don't know what the goes, but in Australia, we had the WWE Network for like a year and a half longer than you lot did in the States. You guys had moved to Peacock early 2021. For us in Australia, it was the WWE Network until late last year. Then they moved to like a streaming service called Binge. They moved to Binge in this part of the world. So essentially what happened is all WWE Network subscriptions got kind of either transferred if you wanted to or just like canned, and you had to sign up to Binge. I signed up on a free trial, so I watched WrestleMania this year for free, both nights, crystal clear HD.
4K, baby.
Then I cancelled the night after, so I got WrestleMania for free. No strings attached. It's like, I think going forward, they might make you pay if they go for that model. I don't think anyone's going to have, an issue maybe paying, $10 for WrestleMania or a free trial after what we've had for the last decade. That's fine. If it starts becoming $30, $50, heaven forbid, that sort of thing.
Bro, let me say this real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah, back in 2012, I ordered Once in a Lifetime WrestleMania 28 on pay-per-view. It was like $65 then.
Yeah.
So $65 then. So now I think a UFC pay per view is like $79.99 right now.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that WWE's gonna try to charge like $70 for like
Oh my god.
like Clash at the Castle? You know, we're gonna be getting like we're gonna be paying $80 to watch Drew McIntyre beat up Gunther for the 800th time in Scotland. I'm not paying $80 for that, bro. No shot. Like you're talking about $30 for WrestleMania, bro. 2012 they're charging $65.
To be fair, it was so much worse back then because if they actually went with an ending that was bad or like WrestleMania 29, that was still in the pay-per-view era, they charged like, $55, $60 for that show. So when you're ending the show with Cena predictably getting his win back a year in the making that everyone saw coming, and the whole wrestling community was like, well, what was that? That was just, what a joke. And everyone was angry about the show. Imagine paying $60 just to know you'll get mad and then get mad. Like, that's what wrestling was. So, yeah, Kevin, going forward, if they make you pay $50 to watch Roman Reigns squash someone 1,200 days into a championship reign, I mean, if that's the model WWE wants to go for, then hats off to him. I won't be making content on that. I know that for sure. But yeah,
there are people that'll pay it too. That's the other thing. There's probably like 100,000 people that'll pay that every month, at least. Pay like $80 for Clash of the Castle and Hell in a Cell and TLC. I don't know. Nevertheless,
don't you want to watch a Raw uppercard match at TLC where Cody's facing Austin Theory because they met each other at a gym 6 years ago?
There you go. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just want to say this: the only time that I've ever really bought like a UFC pay-per-view is like in a watch party. You know, if I'm gonna get like 3, 4, 5, 6 people together and we're gonna split the bill at the pay-per-view 6 ways, like yeah, let's do it. Or go into a bar. You know, you go to a sports bar, you pay whatever, $20 for some wings and a beer, and watch a UFC fight. If that becomes an option where you can go to a bar and watch WrestleMania, I'd do that. Pay $20 for it, because you're gonna get food anyway. Like I ordered food when I'm watching WrestleMania last week, so
yeah,
why not? But I don't even know. Like, is there like a storyline, or is there a way that WWE could pique your interest to make you spend like $80 on a pay-per-view? Is there anything that you could see, like not even like something that realistically could happen, but just in general? Yeah. Like would you pay like for Rock Austin at WrestleMania 17? Would you pay like $80 for that?
It does come down to financial position as well.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Like the people who either you're struggling or you're trying to pay for all other cost of living expenses. The thought of, oh, well, WWE's running Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns in Scotland again. He takes $70. Like, that's a bit, yeah. But for those ones, like, yeah, once in a lifetime, the big main events, like, I'd happily pay like $60 for that. It's just one of these things to say you watch live and you experience it live. It's worth it. But for most of the stuff WWE is going to be doing now, that isn't worth it for pay-per-view models. Like, for instance, this show they're going to do at Backlash, it'll be, Cody versus Brock is the main event. That's a good main event. It'll be entertaining, sure. And they're going to do a fun match with Rey Mysterio, and you have Bad Bunny getting involved, and Roman's going to be off the show from all reports. So there's going to be some good stuff there, but that's not worth paying more than, the cost of Peacock sort of thing. Like, it's just not. So, yeah, I don't know, pal.
Hey, pal. So, next up, pal.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about the Raw After Mania. Just to go back to pivot to that for a second.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you want to talk about what went down on the Raw? Or do you want to talk about something else from WrestleMania Fallout before we talk about Raw After Mania?
Look, the main thing that happened on Raw really was that Cody and Brock thing. I feel like we can lump that in later on with the kind of main event. Yeah. Cody, Roman, Raw. We can lump that together. So what we'll do, Kevin, I'll ask you this question. Surrounding John Cena and Austin Theory. So, first things first, I want your thoughts. Did John Cena elevate Austin Theory in that match at WrestleMania? And just what were your thoughts generally?
I think he did. I think he did elevate Austin Theory on a whole. Like, when you look at casual fans who watch wrestling once a year, they're probably more intrigued by who Austin Theory is now. Like, I think in that standpoint, or the people that are like, that watch, they maybe they watch weekly, but they don't read any websites. They don't watch any reviews. They watch Raw like every week or every other week. Someone like that is probably more inclined to be more of an Austin Theory fan or have an opinion on him or view him differently. But I don't think he really did anything for like the more like medium and hardcore fans in terms of elevating Austin Theory. Like I think Austin Theory is still, to me, he's still the same person that he was 6 months ago. I don't see a difference. I don't feel any different. Maybe that's due to the predictable nature of the match. I know some wrestling purists liked it. Like I listened to Jim Cornette's review of the match, and Jim Cornette loved it. Jim Cornette said it was his second favorite match of the entire weekend. He really liked what they did with Theory. I went back and I watched the match in full. The entrance was really cool. Cena's entrance was really cool. Austin Theory, his entrance, like maybe he could have got something, but what can you give him? He doesn't really have that much layers to his character. I don't know. I don't want to say that it's like too much too soon for Austin Theory, but what has he really done to deserve the honor of like beating John Cena clean in John Cena's second real wrestling match in 5 years? If you think about it, from like 2017, I was like, I don't remember what match it was. Was it the match? I think it was the match with Roman at No Mercy, if I'm
Yes.
correct. That was like his last real like proper one-on-one match that comes to mind. Because you think about WrestleMania 34 with Undertaker, it was what, like a minute and a half, and then he had
SummerSlam against Roman.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The only other one
I saw that one. Yeah.
the only other one he's had two. He's had SummerSlam 2021 versus Roman Reigns, and he's had this match with Austin Theory. So beating John Cena is like supposed to be, I would think, like a big honor. And Austin Theory, really, he held the Money in the Bank title, and WWE told us he wasn't good enough for the WWE or the Universal Championship by having him cash in the Money in the Bank on the US title. So already we're told this guy is not main event material. And then we're supposed to buy into him beating John Cena and him being good enough to beat John Cena. It's kind of a tough sell. And I just don't think it really did anything for him. Like I don't think, like, he could still be on a short list of guys that get future endeavored whenever Vince McMahon gets himself in a push, and he has to shell out more money to people. Yeah, he has to reimburse WWE for investigations, pay hush money, pay God knows what kind of lawyer fees, and if he's cutting salaries, who's to say Austin Theory's not getting future endeavored? Who's to say Austin Theory's making it through like another pandemic cuts? Say, God forbid, there's another pandemic and wrestlers are losing their jobs. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, to me, that match did nothing for Theory. I'm fairly sure. Like, I was watching that match, and on the night, I was like, Cena lost. Okay, fine. Like, I get it. Cena's not going to be there beyond like Monday. I know. But watching it just had a weird feeling to it. I don't know. And I watched this back as well. And the way they did the match, the fact that Cena, we'll discuss this in a moment, Cena is a shell of what he used to be. He just is. This isn't, I grew up watching Cena when he'd literally get beaten up most of the match, and then he'd lift up like the Big Show and Edge on his shoulders and just win. Like literal Superman Cena. And now we're watching Cena with like the bald spot, and he can't get literally any offense in at all. And he's just getting like, I don't know. I didn't like this. I just didn't like the match generally. I thought Austin Theory, when compared to the other young guys, Kevin, who were put on show at WrestleMania, being Omos and being Dominic Mysterio, I put them all in a similar bracket, sort of fairly young, can be future upper mid-card players in WWE. I think Theory was the least impressive of any of them. So to me, no, John Cena didn't elevate Austin Theory. I think what Brock Lesnar did with Omos was elevating, in my opinion. That made Omos that much more interesting, to me at least. I can't speak to anyone else. To me, Omos is way more interesting now because of that Brock Lesnar thing. I thought the Dominic Mysterio stuff would make Dominic big time in my eyes. I think Dominic can have a main event run sometime next few months because of that. This Theory thing, he bit Cena's ear twice, nut shot at him, cheated like 3 different times. And now it's like, oh, Theory's a big time star. Like, no. I'm apathetic towards the guy. So yeah, I don't know. The guy has some of the full package, I guess. He's got muscles. I don't know. What else is there? How is Theory different from Mason Ryan? What's the difference there? You know, so to me as a viewer, no Theory. Like Theory's empty arena promo where he was like, you know, I'm gonna show you why and show the world why I deserve to be this guy. Fine promo, I guess, but he didn't back it up in the match. He nut shot at an old man and bit his ear a few times and then won. Like, okay, Cena's had one proper match in 5 years. I'm not impressed by that. I don't care. So that's where I'm at, Kevin. Take it or leave it. You have thoughts on that? Anything else you want to say there?
So I know that the next question is like, has John Cena lost a step in the ring?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think Cena was. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Cena was uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were rumors out there that Cena didn't want to put Theory over, you know, but he didn't want to exercise his golden shovel. He wanted to be the good employee that he is, that we know and love John Cena to be. You know, I think he prides himself on being that guy that will do things that other top stars would not. You know, like Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2002. Vince McMahon goes up to him and it's like, hey, pal, you're going to lose to Austin Theory, a guy that wasn't even good enough to cash in the Money in the Bank on the world champion, had to cash on a mid-carder. You're going to job to that guy at WrestleMania. Stone Cold's going to be like, all right, bro, I'm out. Peace. You know, CM Punk would go to AEW, you know, go to MMA, get knocked out, embarrassed in 2 fights.
Go on a podcast for an hour and a half and do a shoot, but call it not a shoot. Carry on.
Exactly, yeah. Hulk Hogan would make racist comments and sex tapes and say that doesn't work for me, brother. And then come back at 20, almost come back like in 2021, dressed as a pirate, staying there with a black wrestler, trying to get his public image salvaged.
You were there for Hulk Hogan coming out in a pirate outfit with Titus O'Neil. You were there. You were in the building, pal. You sat through a rain delay in a poncho to watch that, pal. Anyway, carry on.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Nevertheless, so you get the point. I could go on for days and days about how other top stars would react to this. Shawn Michaels would have faked an injury for 8.5 months and slept with the guy's wife. So John Cena prides himself on I think being maybe a little bit easier to work with compared to some other top stars. So he did what was asked of him. You know, WWE was like, "Hey, pal, can you do us a favor? Can you put over this young guy we're trying to push? You know, this guy that again couldn't cash in on the world champion, had cash in on a mid card belt." So, needless to say, I don't think Cena's washed. I don't think Cena's finished. I just think he didn't want to wrestle the match. I just think he was like, all right, we're gonna do 10 moves, kid, and we're gonna do 10 minutes. You're gonna hit me with your finisher, and we're getting out of here. And apparently, there was another report too that the match went under in terms of time. Like they went like 13 minutes. They were like, the rumor is they were supposed to get like 22, 23 minutes. I think it was. I think I read that on like Cage Match. Yeah, imagine like, so Cena was probably midway through, like in the middle of the match, just thinking, all right, this guy doesn't have it. He sucks. All right, referee, we're gonna do an audible. Theory hit me in the nuts. You know, tickle my bald spot and let's get out of here.
That's great content. No, I actually, if that's what happened, I would not be shocked because I watched that. It felt funny.
It was off.
It's weird. Yeah, like it didn't feel like a complete match. It felt like they were kind of getting somewhere, and then Theory just hit his kind of finisher and won. This is the other thing which people are complaining about. Theory hit one finisher and beat Cena. I'm sure the initial plan would have been probably a couple of finishes or more of like a finisher fest in the last 5 to 10 minutes, and then Theory comes out on top. But if that's what happened, that would make complete sense based on what we saw, the version of events we saw. Cena, maybe he did check it. Maybe he was 10 minutes in or 5 minutes in or 2 minutes in going, we've done the entrances, we're at WrestleMania. Me being in the ring with this guy is already a big deal for him. This ain't it. Let's get a decent match. We'll end it a bit, bit prematurely because this ain't it. We don't need to do 22 minutes here. That's going to be a disaster and ruin my legacy a bit. So just, take the A-Town, take the big finisher, A-Town down, pal, and take the L. I don't know. To me, I don't want to overreact to this one match with this whole John Cena being washed thing. I think that match against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam was a really good match.
Solid.
And so, it's just with Cena, I don't know. just watching him from what we're used to versus what we get now, it's a stark difference. Because Cena used to feel literally immortal. Like he was just this literal Iron Man, bench pressing like 800 pounds, squatting giants and Edge and flipping them and all this sort of thing. And now he's just, good old John, 46-year-old from West Newbury, Massachusetts with the bald spot. Like it's not the same, but Father Time gets everyone, I guess. I don't know. God, hopefully going forward, Cena has one more great match left in him, where it's kind of like an Undertaker situation a little bit to me. It's not at that stage yet, but you want to see one more great Cena match before he kind of tips his cap farewell one more time, because Cena alluded to it, Kevin, in interviews, and he addressed this in his promo on Raw. It may be one of the last times he does this sort of thing. It's we're much closer to the end than the start, so yeah, hopefully he has one more great match. Does he need like a Seth Rollins to get him to that great match? Can he have that great match with a kind of average wrestler at this stage? I don't think he can. I don't think Cena versus Logan Paul is going to be that great if it happens. I think Cena versus Seth Rollins or AJ Styles is like the farewell match he needs. Maybe Carmelo Hayes, a guy like that, like an in-ring guy, to get Cena that final like great match, which can give you kind of closure in his career. So yeah, there you go, pal. That's my thoughts. I don't think Cena's washed just yet, but WrestleMania was.
But the thing is too, like you mentioned, in-ring guy. Theory is supposed to be that guy.
No, he's not.
Like Theory, like you hear people back, like you hear people like talk about him. Like apparently Theory is like this in-ring general,
Oh.
So I don't know. I to me, I don't see it, but you and I are not wrestlers, so we don't see things that wrestlers are gonna see. But whatever it is that Theory has in ring, it's not transitioning and translating into the masses. There's some people out there that appreciate good work rate and like Theory, but Theory's not connecting with like the audience overall the way Omos and Dominic are connecting. But pal, I got 2 follow-up questions for you on John Cena. 1.
Oh, 2.
What's your brutally honest thoughts on John Cena being casted in the Barbie film?
That is a mainstream star. That's a objective, pal.
Let me say this before you go. Is this his version of the Tooth Fairy? Dwayne Johnson starred in the infamous Tooth Fairy. Is this John Cena's version of that? He's at He's gonna be in Barbie, bro. What is he? Is he the Ken doll? Like I don't even know what he's.
Probably, yeah. Probably. And why the hell not?
I'm gonna look this up.
I'd rather see Cena and Barbie than having random Colin Audible matches versus Austin Theory, where Theory's like trying to bite his ear. I'd rather watch Cena and Barbie, Kevin. So, no, I think, Kevin, this is a spot which wrestlers dream of, Kevin. If you told a wrestler one day you could have conquered WWE, conquered the wrestling business, and you'll be cast in Barbie for the millions of people watching, that is the dream, pal. So, yeah, I think I love that. Will I watch Barbie? I'll watch probably the trailer and a couple of clips of Cena. That's about it. But it's very cool to see Cena, pal. That is his version. That's better than the Tooth Fairy. That is better than Dwayne and the Tooth Fairy, pal.
All right, second question being, if not Theory, who would you have booked in Theory's place to be that guy that has like a showcase match with John Cena for his big return?
In Hollywood, one of 2 options. Either you go down the Logan Paul rabbit hole and do that in Hollywood.
I'm glad they didn't.
Cena versus Logan Paul in Hollywood, that just kind of makes sense. Or you do Cena versus Edge. And you make that like a kind of a farewell spectacle sort of thing. You have like loser retires almost, because they're both near the end of the road anyway. They're going to retire within the next year or 2, both of them. So you kind of do it there. One of those 2, I probably would have gone Cena Edge. I know you're kind of trying to refer to like a younger guy or someone more in that spot. I don't think there really is a young. I mean, Theory was the one in this case, the young guy who sort of a Cena rub would have helped, so to speak. But after what we saw, with the beauty of hindsight, you probably would have been better off doing Cena versus Edge in just like a big spectacle, 15-minute loser retires match, because that would have garnered lots of interest. And then you could have done Theory versus like a Finn Balor in like a 10-minute, 12-minute really good match for the US title, something like, I don't know. You just do that, I guess. That's probably what I would have done. What about you, pal?
Yeah, that's the point I was kind of getting at, is that there really isn't anyone there. Like you touched on that. There's nobody there. Like in terms of like a younger guy who's on the up. Like it's Dominic, who is already being taken up with the Rey Mysterio storyline. It's Omos and Theory. Those are the three guys, young guys, that WWE is focusing on right now as potential building blocks.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, and then you could put somebody in there who's not that well known, like a Damian Priest. Put him in there with Cena.
Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker. They're like the big ones. No one knows them. Okay, they're known in the wrestling, like the we watch every week space. They're known on Twitter. No one knows who they are in the bigger picture. So that would have been an L. You needed to wait like a year or two before you even attempt that. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you know, you could put a guy like Damian Priest in there. He's one that comes to mind, just somebody who's like in the mid card, can wrestle a good safe match for Cena. But what does that really do for John Cena? Him having like a 12-minute match with Damian Priest doesn't do much. So I don't know. It's kind of odd that like Cena had this match that is going to be largely forgettable when people think about WrestleMania 39 in 5-10 years. It's gonna be like, wait, John Cena opened this show?
Yeah,
like,
I know, for real.
Like 100%. John Cena wrestled Austin Theory? Like, unless Austin Theory turns around and ends up like having this Hall of Fame career, which the jury is still out on what's going to happen with that. But, I mean, if he does, then people will remember this fondly. People will flip it and say this was Theory's moment when he became a mainstream star. This was his defining, crowning moment.
Yeah.
But, like, if you watched it and you were there watching it, you know what happened.
Paleo Wrestling's premiere videos being made and videos like that about how it was a great storyline, and it was the moment Theory proved himself and Cena stepped up on the biggest stage, had a great match with him. And then I'll watch that, and a bunch of people will watch that and go, that just wasn't what happened at the time. Like this is revisionist history, which that's what's happened with a lot of the last kind of 5 to 10 years, where things get looked back on. So, like for instance, one example, just real quick, 2020 in the pandemic era. Those performance center shows, the work with Sasha Banks, Bayley, Edge, and Randy Orton was amazing. Drew Mac, it was such a great time. No, it wasn't. It was not. We lived it. It was, it was good WWE putting on a show, but it wasn't some great, oh my God, get the popcorn, get the whole family, let's watch Raw. Ratings were super low, and WWE was the only thing on. So, I don't know. That's that, Kevin. I think we can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Perfect, pal. So, shifting gears, like a Michael Cole, I want to address one wrestler who we've talked about on Elite Heat quite a bit. We've done, I think, an ultimate burial on this person. I want to ask this question now. Surrounding Charlotte Flair, did that performance she had at WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley change your perspective on her at all? Help her legacy? Like, what's your stance with that? I want to talk about Charlotte because I feel like it needs to be done. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts?
So, the WrestleMania 39 match, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. I've seen people, as I've heard it on podcasts, I've seen it on YouTube videos, I've seen it on Twitter, throwing around the phrase legacy defining. That this is a match, like, this is the greatest match of Charlotte's career. This is the greatest women's match I've ever seen. I've heard and read things like that. And to answer that question, did it change my perspective on Charlotte Flair? Not really. Not really. Like, I didn't watch that match thinking, wow, this is phenomenal. Like, yeah, Charlotte Flair, this is the one match that she's going to be remembered for. Like, I think a lot of people are forgetting some stuff. She's had great matches for a lot of years. Like, Charlotte Flair is... One match that I think of when I think of Charlotte's legacy is that match in NXT she had with Natalya. When Bret Hart was in Natalya's corner, Ric Flair's in Charlotte's corner. The two went and tore the house down in like the early NXT days. And then I think about that TLC match she had with Becky Lynch. I believe that was at Evolution.
Yes.
If I think I'm correct. I think about the Hell in a Cell match with Sasha Banks on Raw. Just countless matches. She's main evented at WrestleMania. And to say that this one is a legacy defining match for Charlotte Flair, I think it's a discredit to what she's done in her career. And yeah, I know Charlotte Flair, a lot of people are sick of her, but a lot of people do like her. She's very polarizing. She's not as polarizing as Prime Cena or Roman Reigns or anything like that, but she's in that next tier. I don't want to say that she's overrated. I think she's overpushed, and it's a lot like the Randy Orton theory that I've spoken about for years. Where WWE they built up her resume, so undeniably she's one of the goats. Whether you like there's no way around it objectively. You look at everything she's done: Royal Rumble match winner, main event WrestleMania, main evented this show, main evented a women's only pay per view, the only women's only pay per view. Hell in a Cell match, first Hell in a Cell match for women. Everything that she's done, she's
14-time women's champion. Yeah,
she's done it all. Been there, done it. So, is this match like? Do I look at her and say, "Yeah, no, I love Charlotte Flair now," or "No, I hate Charlotte Flair now," or she was already one of the greatest. Like that's kind of what the greats do. They put on good matches. And Rhea Ripley, I mean, this is a legacy-defining moment for Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's going to be looked back on and like, wow, yeah, the idea is going to be, the narrative is going to be Rhea Ripley and Charlotte stole the show at night one of WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley had a big moment. She was crowned as one of the cornerstones of the women's division. I don't really think this is about Charlotte Flair. And I want to say this too, real quick. I think, I want to say this, I don't know if I'm wild, but in my opinion, if Rhea and Charlotte had remained in the scheduled slot to main event night one, I don't think that match would have been as good. Those were two women that were out there with a chip on their shoulder because they felt they deserved to main event, and they felt slighted by being changed and having the tag team title go over them, tag team title match go over them. So that same like chip wouldn't be there. That same edge wouldn't have been there. So I don't think it would have been as good of a match.
That's a very good take. I didn't think of that. That's a very good take. No, I agree with that. You can tell, yeah, because if they did main event, Charlotte especially, we've seen this a couple of times in the past, seemingly, where Charlotte gets that main event spot. Like, I'd give you WrestleMania 35 as the prime example, but just generally it's some other sort of lesser shows or generally Charlotte main events, and it's almost this sense of, at least me watching as a viewer, I go, she looks content she's main eventing, and then she goes through the motions for a fair bit of that. That's the kind of feeling I get. Now, is that fair? I don't know if that's exactly what she thinks. That's just the feeling I get as a viewer. So, Kevin, I agree with that. My stance with this, it's really hard with Charlotte Flair. You mentioned the Randy Orton theory with her. It's bang on. She's going to go down, like when she retires in whenever, a decade, 5, 10, who knows. Whenever she hangs up the boots and, oh, Charlotte, she's a 23-time women's champion, 4-time Royal Rumble winner, the Money in the Bank this time. These are like a massive like laundry list of achievements. And everyone's like, she's by far the greatest ever. And it's like, well, yes. But during the time when those accolades are all acquired, we weren't, I say we, I know myself, you, a lot of people in the community weren't interested. Either not interested or actively disinterested. WWE were going, yes, take this. And yeah, this WrestleMania match, amazing moment for Rhea. I think the fact that Charlotte put over Rhea in this setting, awesome. I think that's probably one of the biggest feathers in Charlotte's cap to date. That Charlotte losing that match to Rhea Ripley means more than her if she won. Like for her legacy, putting someone over like this is a good achievement. And which is the same sentiment I have for the main event of night 2, where Reigns putting over Cody would have done way more for his legacy than Reigns just holding 2 titles in the show. It's the same sort of thing. It's like this wrestler's had so much success in Charlotte Flair that now that they're putting over someone on a big stage like this, that's a big deal. That's a good thing for their legacy. But when I say it's a legacy-defining, amazing match and moment, Kevin, that's going to, stand the test of time, maybe Rhea Ripley becomes the biggest female star we've ever seen off the back of this. We don't know. Hopefully, Rhea becomes one of the all-time great female wrestlers. But this match, I was bored for the first half. It picked up in the second half. People were saying it's a 5-star match. I don't know what match they were watching. Yeah, I guess.
I want to say this, too, in closing on the Charlotte Flair situation. I think you could say this is like a WrestleMania legacy-defining moment for Charlotte Flair. When you look at her WrestleMania resume, yeah, she's had main events, she's had triple threat, fatal 4-way, women's title matches, but that's what it's been. It's been multi-women's matches, it's been a forced main event that nobody wanted to see. that had like I think holds the record for the most dislikes on WWE's YouTube channel. Like people want to see Charlotte, or not Charlotte. People want to see Ronda versus Becky, and Vince like, nah, damn it, get in there, Charlotte. So I think from that standpoint, like this is really Charlotte's only great one-on-one WrestleMania match. Yeah, it adds to her legacy. It definitely adds to it. But I don't think that like this is not like I don't know. When you think about a legacy-defining match, like you look at like Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. That's a match like yeah, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have great legacies, but that's one that people will look back and are like, wow, that was something. Or like WrestleMania 3, Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat. Those are legacy-defining matches to me. And I wouldn't consider Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley in that category. I don't. Maybe it's a top 50 WrestleMania match of all time. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Would you describe Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus as a legacy definer for any of those guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a legacy definer for all three of them. You know, I mean, before that match, Drew McIntyre's legacy would be beating Brock Lesnar in a match in front of no fans that Brock wasn't interested in, and then getting punched out by the Big Show immediately afterwards, and then crying on the Raw after, like reaching out to the fans, like in the middle of a pandemic, crying like that was his legacy prior. Sheamus's legacy was like the Sheamus whatever. What was it? The like
Sheamus 515 fell off with the septum piercing in his nose and the mohawk. Yeah,
that was Sheamus's legacy, and beating Daniel Bryan in 10 seconds, starting the Yes movement. Like that was it, you know. And Gunther, he hasn't been around long enough to even really have a legacy yet in WWE. So yeah, all right, pal. Is it that time? I think it's that time.
Yes, it is. Kevin, it's main event time, pal.
The time is now, pal.
So what I will say firstly, before we get to any debate, question here, or anything like that, I've watched this match back now, and I felt this watching it live. This was one of the best WrestleMania main events we've seen in the last 15 years.
Bell to bell,
years.
yeah.
This was a great match, particularly considering how lackluster most of the WrestleMania main events in the 30s have been, with Brock just winning matches and Triple H and Roman and all this stuff. So credit where it's due for the match. Now, Kevin, with this being said, let's talk about it. So I'll start off with the big question. Now, in the WrestleMania review, you were content, pleased with the ending.
Yes.
You said Roman winning was the right call.
Yep.
I think there's a great discussion to be had here. We'll ask the question. Was Roman Reigns pinning Cody Rhodes the way they did the right decision?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. 110%. People are really angry. People want to see Cody win. People want to hate Roman Reigns the heel. Wow. When was the last time that happened? Where people actually want to see a babyface win? Can you tell me? Like, I think about Roman Reigns versus Triple H, WrestleMania 32. Roman Reigns is this babyface chasing the heel. Nobody wanted to see him win. Right? You know, you think about Roman versus Brock 2 years in the future. Roman's the babyface, Brock's the heel. Who wanted to see Roman win? No one. Now people want to see Cody get that they want to see him chase the title. But the only problem is I fully trust WWE with the Bloodline storyline. We've gotten almost 3 years now of consistent good content. Some great stuff, a lot of good, very little, if any, bad stuff from the Bloodline. So there's a track record there. There's no reason to say that this is going to be butchered. The only caveat is the Cody Rhodes thing. It's the Cody Rhodes factor, where Cody Rhodes could come out one day in the middle of May and just be like, you know, he's in the middle of this hot storyline with Brock Lesnar, and then he's getting ready to face Roman, and then all of a sudden we're in like Utah and Cody Rhodes is cutting promos about how like race relations in the Utah Jazz organization, and that's it. And that's the end of Cody's push. You know, that's it. It's over. That's really the only caveat with this. But overall, again, mind blowing. People want to see the babyface chase the heel. Wow, crazy. Like the people that are really upset by this, I think, I mean, you're getting worked. Like this is what WWE wants. WWE wants you to be mad. They want you to hate Roman. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, but I want to ask you a side question before you go.
Yeah.
People are saying this is like one of the worst blunders of all time, right? Like a big fumbling moment, like a potentially era generation defining moment in WWE.
Yeah.
Would you put this ending on like the level of like a Rock Austin WrestleMania 17 where Austin turns heel? Like how that completely pretty much killed the Attitude Era and killed the momentum that WWE had going? Like that, because people are saying this is like the worst blunder of all time. Like I think of that one, like that jumps to mind right up front. And I don't even think this is in the same tier, even the second tier. Like, and then another one too, I'll pose to you. Another example that jumps right in the forefront of my brain is Triple H, the Triple H, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton thing from SummerSlam 2013, where Daniel Bryan beats Cena clean. Everybody wants to cheer Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And then Triple H is like, nope, sorry, Randy Orton's gonna get the belt. We're gonna do a cash in. Like that.
Yeah.
That caused a point now where people are entitled, where people are like, all right, we want, like, you think about it. I remember this. People are like, oh, we want Nakamania. We want Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, Lord, don't even.
Like,
okay,
like that. Like that stuff was spawned. Yeah. That was fathered by that moment there at SummerSlam in 2013.
Yeah.
I think of those two as like really big blunders. Like I think if WWE could go back in time, I think they would have just had Daniel Bryan be champion for like 3 months. Give the fans what they want for 3 months. Everybody going yes, yes, yes. And then when people get sick of it, switch the belt over. Take it off Daniel Bryan. Put it on whoever you want to put it on. But people would have got what they wanted. And Daniel Bryan would have been over forever. He would have had a 3-month reign, and then he could live in that upper mid-card technical wrestler scene for the rest of his career and be a big star.
Okay.
So,
I just want to address. I'll get to the point about what's the worst decision of all that sort of thing. I'll get that in a moment.
Yeah.
What I will say, I'll speak for myself at least. That's all I can speak for. Whether you agree or the listeners agree, you can agree. Where I stand now on Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, you do the whole thing. I was like, oh, now people want to see Cody win and Roman lose. Well, Kevin, after that was the moment. That was the moment to do it. I now watch Cody, and every time I'm seeing him now, I'm thinking, well, he should have bloody won a WrestleMania. Everything now is just there. It's just filler. It's excess. Just we know what the outcome is going to be at this stage from how they've told us. I guess they're telling the story. It seems Reigns is clearly just on borrowed time now, getting over the 1,000-day mark because that's just what's sort of happening. I don't want to see Roman Reigns lose in the heel sense. I'm not like, yeah, Cody was screwed. Beat him, Cody. Yeah. To me, it's more so like, oh, well, okay. Until Cody, and now whenever Cody gets the titles, when he wins that, I'm sure it'll still be a good moment if and when he wins at SummerSlam, let's say, or I assume that's going to be the show. SummerSlam, if they hold out to the next WrestleMania, that's an awful decision waiting to happen. But if it's at SummerSlam, it'll be a good moment for Cody Rhodes, maybe a great moment. But after the bag was fumbled with what would have been objectively a great moment at WrestleMania, but probably an amazing moment with all the circumstances, the crowd, the moment, WrestleMania in Hollywood, the drama, Zayn and KO's bit. After that, I'm not like, damn, oh, Cody was screwed. Oh, come on. It's Cody, fight for me, damn it. Overcome, Cody, come on. I'm not like that. And yes, okay, if I went to a Monday Night Raw and Reigns and Cody were both on, well, thinking Reigns wouldn't appear because he doesn't show up, so that's a bit hard to say. But if I was at a Raw, yeah, I'd cheer for Cody. I'll cheer for Cody regardless. I think he's presented really well as a babyface. I said this in the video I made, and just generally, his presentation is really good. His WrestleMania entrance was a really good entrance. It just was. But to answer the question there, look, I think Cody losing is clearly the wrong decision. I feel like of all these guys in the past 10 years, there's been a lot of these, Kevin, and you allude to a few of them. It's like the Daniel Bryan thing, how that led to Nakamania. I 100% understand where you're coming from. You have a bunch of these just literal indie schmucks in some cases, guys who just don't deserve these spots at all, getting shoved into them. Kevin, remember when Finn Balor debuted and then literally within 5 minutes was Universal Champion? Like, that literally happened. And these same people who were a fan of that are telling everyone, Cody coming back after all this stuff he's done with AEW and this failed career he had in WWE before, Cody coming back, having a big WrestleMania moment, having feud of the year with Seth Rollins, wrestling the match with the torn pec, having pec surgery, coming back winning the Royal Rumble, telling a good story with Roman. He hasn't told enough of a story. He needs to keep going and tell the rest of the story just to get his win. Finn Balor showed up and won within 5 minutes. And most of these other wrestlers, Kofi Mania was like a 1 month thing. And it's like, I don't know. It seems a bit hypocritical just because Reigns has had an all-time great run. It seems like they're trying to extend that run just so they can hit 1,000, and fans are just, yes, Reigns 1,000, oh my God. It's like, okay, cool. But to answer the question you asked, Kevin, will this be looked back on as one of the all-time bag fumbles, one of the worst endings in wrestling? That really does wait to be seen. I don't feel like I can give a definitive like yes or no on that. I'm leaning towards, was it as bad as WrestleMania 17's ending and what that caused? It's going to be hard for it to top that. That was one of the all-time just like, why'd you do that endings? This to me, it is up there. I won't say it is like, the top level yet. It's like the worst of the worst. But for what they could have had, for the next year of content they could have had if Cody just won. Because, Kevin, all I'll say is this. That ending does nothing for Cody's legacy and does nothing for Roman's legacy. If Cody won, that does the world of good for his legacy and his status as a main eventer, and does the world of good for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns puts a guy over. He lays down clean. He can then have a year of a downfall. As the Mafia boss, Cody can have a run and have a world title reign. It just works. It just does. So that's my stance. To me, the ending was completely the wrong decision. I can't believe some of the arguments I've heard to defend the ending. They genuinely baffle me. So yeah.
But let's keep it real too. This is the reality of why WWE did what they did. Mm-hmm. Cheddar, baby. There's more money in the babyface chasing the title. Cody's gonna sell more merchandise from March until from April until whenever he wins the title than he will as champion. People are more intrigued. The rating's going to be higher. People are more intrigued. You look back at the Cena era. Cena chasing Edge when Edge was champion did better ratings than Cena just being on top. Like, I love you, C Nation. So they want to capitalize and strike on the iron while it's hot. That's just what it is. That's what I think, at least. Like, not to speak for the people that created, but I think that's how it went down. I don't think Triple H is looking at it like, yeah, gotta have Roman get 1,000 days like that. I mean, if that's why Triple H booked it, then that would be terrible. Like, if someone ever comes out, like a reliable source, like Bruce Pritchard goes on his podcast one day in 20 years and is like, yeah, Roman won because Triple H wanted to keep that 1,000-day reign alive, then that's just like, come on, like, for real. But I think it's all about the cheddar, bro. Yeah, you look perplexed. I want to hear what you have to say.
I will credit where it's due. I hadn't actually heard that point. That is the best argument I've heard made about why Cody lost. And that's being 100% I've seen some absolute rotters, some arguments where I go, you have the IQ of a peanut. That's a genuinely really good one. That is 100% fair. Like, that's something that I can see them actually pitching and doing. And one of the reasons and the catalysts for it. And so, yeah, fair play where it's due there, but I feel like you're still making points, so carry on.
And I was going to ask you this too. So you mentioned that, you wanted to see, or you don't care, like, the outcome is going to be Cody winning the title. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a guarantee. Like, Cody might never win the title. We don't know. We don't know that. But let's just say, let's say, no, seriously though. Let's say though that, yes, this is the outcome. Let's just say we're in a different reality where you and I know we're backstage. We're hanging out with Vince McMahon when he's writing hush money checks. We're on the inner circle. All right. And and we know the finish of SummerSlam 2023. Where's SummerSlam at? Toronto, right? Detroit. We know that is in
Motor City, pal.
Yeah, we know in Detroit in 2023 at SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes gonna win the belt from Roman Reigns, right? Let's just say we know that. I'll ask you this: have you seen Avengers? Any of the Avengers movies?
Yeah.
So you saw Infinity War. And Infinity War is the only comic book movie that I could think of, at least that high profile, where the bad guy ended the movie on top. Now you knew in the last one in Endgame, you knew that Iron Man and Spider Man and the Hulk, they were gonna all get together and save the world. You knew that was gonna happen. Like that's how it goes. But you were still intrigued by the movie, right? Because you wanted to see the story being told. It's all about how they get there. Now that's again, this is where it gets shaky. If us getting there is Cody cutting stupid promos for 3.5 months, and then it's just like, all right, Cody wins, after cutting bad promos, and Roman Reigns coming out and saying, "Yeah, you suck, bro." Like if we just get 3 months of basically what we got leading up to WrestleMania, then why not just have done it at WrestleMania at that point, But I think there's room here, and I think WWE has done enough good with the Bloodline, and I think Cody has a filter now. I hope we're not going to see AEW Cody. I know people are sick of me making the jokes about Cody crying, so I don't think we're going to see AEW top guy Cody. I think we're going to see Cody with a filter on, and I think Roman Reigns and Cody and the Bloodline can tell a really intriguing story. And
you know what they're going to do, don't you? Like, to me, I thought about this about 5 minutes earlier, and it's very clear the direction. I'll lay this down because I feel like no one in the community is saying the direction they're clearly going here. You watch that segment on Raw where basically Roman Reigns is going, "I'm not going to face you again." You got Paul Heyman, and they're doing this promo about how no one, he has to, earn a right, and no one can challenge him. Cody's going to beat Brock Lesnar. We know that. Cody's going to beat Brock, whether that's just a one-off match at Backlash or whether that's a second match. Cody's beating Brock. Then, Kevin, the whole storyline is going to be Roman Reigns is refusing to let Cody have a match with him. Well, Kevin, Cody's going to win the Money in the Bank. And Cody's going to be crying on Raw saying, I'm cashing in at SummerSlam. This is my moment. I'm going to finish my story. I'm going to earn my right. Cody's going to win Money in the Bank. That's just what's going to happen. That's the only way Cody's going to get his right to face Roman. Cody will win Money in the Bank, and he'll cash in the briefcase and announce the match a month in advance.
Wait, did they have a stipulation where Cody would never get another title shot if he lost to Roman? No, right?
That was never mentioned. If that's a thing, then WWE sprung that on us 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I just want to be sure. Go ahead.
No, that wasn't. That was a thing with Brock. They did that SummerSlam last year. It was like the final battle, last man saying the Luke. He can never challenge it. It was that sort of thing.
That's what they were doing on Raw when Cody was like, "I want my match tonight." Paul Heyman was like, "Yeah, you can have your match, but if you lose, you'll never face Roman again." So yeah, that's what it was.
So I think Cody's going to beat Brock. He'll probably have another like upper mid card Raw feud where he's needing to prove himself and get momentum, where he faces the Tribal Chief. He'll win Money in the Bank, and maybe he'll beat Roman. Maybe he doesn't even beat Roman at SummerSlam at this point. Who the hell knows? Because, I guess Reigns holding the title for 5 years is going to do more for his legacy. I don't know. But, overall thoughts, Kevin, I stand by this the wrong decision. Until WWE executes and really plays out this Cody redemption or whatever story they're going to go for, and it's genuinely, consistently quite good, and the moment is an amazing moment when the Roman's dethroned. Until then, I'm going to say it was clearly the wrong decision.
Pal, in the middle of June, Cody's going to cut a good promo, and you'll be back on the bandwagon. You'll be like, you know what, this is right. WWE made the right decision. Long-term storytelling. I let the Bloodline storyline breathe, and now I want to see Cody win at SummerSlam.
Can I say, on Raw, when Cody came out and the crowd was cheering him, and people were like, I had a few people DM me, "See, Cody still has his momentum." I didn't say Cody was going to come out to crickets. Like, obviously, he's still going to be cheered, but like the moment was there at WrestleMania, and they blew it.
You did say that he lost all his momentum, though. You did say
I
that.
said he lost momentum, but it's in the sense of his general character's momentum. I think he lost momentum in that regard. Now he has to rebuild himself, and he has to win Money in the Bank, and he's going to beat Brock twice, and he's going to feud with Finn Balor on Raw for a month. Like, I feel like that's a loss of momentum. So, yeah, when he wins the title, maybe the moment will be 80% of what it could have been at WrestleMania. That's probably being generous. Knowing WWE, it might be 50 or 60% of what the WrestleMania moment would have been. And that's cool. Or maybe Cody never wins it all. Maybe Braun Breaker or Solo Sikoa win sometime in 2024. Who the hell knows? But, yeah.
I'm going to keep a clip of this audio for when you change your mind in the middle of June after Cody cuts one good promo.
Please, pal.
Pal, This is what Daniel Bryan meant when he called fans fickle.
Do I take back my stance? He should have retired before he came back. I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, pal. So, is there anything else you want to get to? I think we covered just about everything. I want to talk about this, I guess, before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Just close with this. So we got Monday Night After Raw. Just like, I guess, a general like where we're feeling going into Backlash. So it looks like they set the play in motion for Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio to take on Damian Priest and Dominic. We saw Damian Priest viciously and violently assault an A-plus list celebrity at ringside, pal. Bad Bunny's sitting at ringside, minding his own business. He's a patron. He's a fan. And Damian Priest violently unleashed an attack on Puerto Rico's greatest export, besides rum, pal. And it was despicable. Despicable actions. By Damian Priest was Bad Bunny's friend, bro. What happened? Damian Priest, he changes his friends the way you change wrestling opinions, pal. You know, Bad Bunny was his friend, and now he's not anymore.
I'd rather change opinions than have the wrong opinions, Kevin. Come on now. Come on now.
Pal. But yeah, nevertheless, we're setting the play in motion, and this is gonna be great. I think if it does end up being a tag team match with those four guys, they're gonna sell out a football stadium in Puerto Rico. It's gonna be phenomenal. And any thoughts on it?
It's gonna be great. No, I think we discussed this in the WrestleMania review that this is gonna be a really fun, like great match, and the stage is perfectly set for this. Imagine the pop Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny are gonna get. Like that's gonna be dope. I don't know. Do you have Dom and Priest win? Or do you have just Ray get another win over Dominic? Like, what would you do there, Kevin?
I think that's interesting because you got Bad Bunny. I assume is not going to be up to lose. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you do with that. That's a good question. I'm going to table that. We're going to talk about that later on.
Yeah, because then let's say Ray and Bad Bunny get the win and they stand tall. Like, I mean, that'd be a great moment. But, you know, it's like you want to have Dom just lose twice to his dad after talking all that stuff. It's like, well, Dom's the 26-year-old, Ray's 50. Like, you know, you might as well have Dom win at least one match. Like, I get the storylines put him over a lot, but a win would be good. You know, I don't know. Then again, I don't know. Maybe it's not everything, but I think it's something worth bringing up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, pal. Well, I'm ready to get out of here.
Well, pal, I want to before I end this show, when we end this show, pal, I want to address something real quick, pal. Cody Rhodes, my favorite wrestler, pal, is facing Brock Lesnar. They're running back 2012, Kevin. Are you excited for Cody to be bleeding, crying, dumps Brock on the stairs, hits a crossroads onto a kendo stick, pins Brock, 1, 2, 3. What's your excitement level for Cody and Brock, pal? Walk us through where you're at with that, pal.
Well, first of all, I'll say this. I can't wait for Cody versus John Laurinaitis to main event over WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, who'll be stuck on the upper mid-card having a great work rate match with Finn Balor, with Fergs on the undercard. And then Roman Reigns going to cut I Deserve Better promos for the next 7 months.
Yeah, right. How Roman will go on an Art of Wrestling podcast and do a shoot interview and rant about the doctors and how they gave him a Z-Pack. And pal, you'll have Joanna Y on Colt Cabana's podcast, and then there'll be legal action. Anyway, carry on.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, I think Cody vs. Brock is fun. Like, I really loved what they did on Raw. That was but the brightest highlight of that Raw After Mania show. Was like the whole angle with like the beginning of the show, you know, Cody's like, I'm gonna take on Roman as solo in a tag team match. I need a tag team partner. And then Brock Lesnar comes out, he's like shaking Cody's hand, hugging him. It was great. Everybody and their mother knew that Brock was gonna turn on Cody by the end of the show. But it was fun while it lasted. Just the idea of like, could you imagine Brock Lesnar like standing on the apron as a tag team partner, stomping on the steps, saying, "Come on, LA, come on!" Could you imagine that? Brock's just like, yeah, give it to us. Come on, Cody, hot tag, Cody. Like, just the idea of that ridiculousness of watching Brock Lesnar be Cody's cheerleader had me intrigued. I was intrigued. I was like, all right, well, like, just the fact that this could happen, sign me up. Like, I know it's, like, we knew it was not going to happen, but the fact that that could have been a reality it was great, and it would have been great. And they should have at least given us, like, 5 minutes of the match, at least. I really wanted to see Brock play a cheerleader, bro. And then he could have just beat him up in the middle of the match and left him laying, but I was really sad that we didn't get to see babyface Brock.
I know. That's for, you could have literally, Reigns just stands on the, Reigns doesn't even have to wrestle. He can just stand on the apron. Sakara and Cody can punch each other for 3 to 5 minutes. And you just have Brock, like he's Randy Orton in St. Louis, slamming on the steps with his foot. Come on! Come on! Come on! And he's just yelling, the crowd's like cheering. Like, that would be just a great moment. Like,
yeah, that'd be great. You know, like Brock out there, Suplex City, like whatever, like let's go, Cody, just leading a chant. It would have been so good, bro.
Like, yeah, Brock's leading a Cody chant. He's just like, he's like, come on,
Cody,
yeah, come on, tag me in, please. That's just great.
Yeah, then Cody goes for the tag, and Brock's just like, nope. Pulls his hand back, gets in the ring, beats his ass.
Gets back in the ring, refuses to tag in. F5, Reigns and Sakara's like, bounce. Like, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
But yeah,
right, pal.
I'm excited for the match at I'm excited for the match at Backlash. It should be fun. My stance is still that this should be Cody's first world title defense, and then that would be that much better, but it works. Cody and Brock's a fun combination. Match will be enjoyable. I'm looking forward to it. And Reigns won't compete at Backlash, more reports, so there you go.
There he is, pal. He's protecting the championship's prestige, keeping it important.
Sitting at home on Joanna Wyatt's couch with his 5 children. The kids are playing with the Universal title. The Cody should have in his possession right now. Love to see it.
All right, pal. Any last words?
No, I'm good, pal. Big show next week. So once again, Elite Heat's going to keep pumping out the big shows. This has been fun. This has been Elite Heat Goes Undisputed. Kevin, thanks this one, pal.
Big show on YouTube. Big Elite Heat on YouTube next week. Big Elite Heat on YouTube. I can't wait. Monday at 3 p.m. Big Elite Heat. Sorry, the cocaine.
Big announcement, guys. Big announcement. Guys, announcement. AW.
Sorry, the cocaine kicked in. My bad. I was, when I turned my camera off, I went and did a bump. So, no, I'm kidding. Don't do drugs, kids.
Pal, I'm going to go watch AW Dark Elevation Rampage on YouTube now and watch Keith Lee, the Wizard, have a great match. Big match, pal. Big Elite Heat next week, 3 p.m. Monday, Big Elite Heat. Can't wait. See you guys there. 3 p.m. Monday, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 p.m. I will talk to you all on the next one. Peace.